Feels good to be here in New York City today. Yeah. The name is Ryan Leslie. Yeah. And we talk about no prisons. We ain't taking no prisons. Bulletproof your windows. We ain't taking no prisons. Turn up. No prisons. We ain't taking no prisons. Bulletproof your windows. We ain't taking no prisons. Your main chick is my dinner date. Main dish on my dinner plate. I'm eating quick, I ain't finna wait. You new here and I've been a great. Long flights, we put the jets on it. Long nights, no rest on it. Music biz, we put the tech on it. That old model, we flex on it, I'm about to rash out. Pull up at the club, it's packed out. A new Rari that's blacked out. It's Ryan season, I'm back now. Yeah, I like the code. New rules, I write the code. No sign that I might slow. I'm inhuman, I'm Mike Snow. No prisons. We ain't taking no prisoners. Bulletproof your windows. We ain't taking no prisoners. Turn up. No prisoners. We ain't taking no prisoners. Bulletproof your windows. Listen to me, up. C rounds, bank deals. You don't get the wire that it ain't real. T Walker race 10 mil, but he a Prius driver, you can't tell. Self mode, real grind, real value in real time. Real problems need real minds. It's real biz, I'm finna build mine. Coming with a master plan. Out here doing what a bachelor can. Red dots on them, we match Japan. Everything gonna speak Africans. Yo, small bills, we need the Jacksons. No time for no questions. We film, son, we need action. We taking home, we ain't axing. No prisons. We ain't taking no prisons. Bulletproof your windows. We ain't taking no prisons. Turn up. No prisons. We ain't taking no prisons. Bulletproof your windows. We ain't taking no prisons. Yeah. 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 What's up? What's up? Make some noise, DLD. No prisons. We ain't taking no prisons. Bulletproof your windows. We ain't taking no prisons. Turn up. No prisons. What up, Steffi? Yeah. Your windows. We ain't taking no prisons. DLD, thank you so much. Fab5. Come on up, Fab. Thank you. Thank y'all.
How are you? Good to see you too.
Wow.
Hello, hello, DLD. That was excellent.
Thank you, man.
How you guys doing today? Listen, my name is Fab5Freddy, and if you don't know, now you're gonna know that I've been down with hip-hop culture, pop culture, since the very beginning of all this. And one of the things that I thought about on the way down here from my home in Harlem, about 15 minutes north of here, is that in the beginnings of hip-hop, the DJ was the key guy. And what the DJ in hip-hop did is something, you know, that really cool tech word, disruptive. Disruptive to the max. They took turntables and mixes and did things you weren't supposed to do with turntables and mixes. They made rhythm out of them. They, you know, manipulated them and stuff like that. So the DJ was the tech kind of engineer, if you will, way back then in the 70s. Right. And as we move forward, we have Ryan Leslie here, who's a hip-hop artist. He's a singer. He's a producer, but also he's a tech whiz. He's probably the most tech-adapt person in the whole kind of urban music industry. He's a Harvard graduate, and he taught himself how to code. He made an incredible app which is like a solution to the music industry for artists to basically take their product directly to the consumer and interact with them. But when I was on the phone with Ryan last night, he was telling me that there's some new evolving twists on things that you've been doing.
Right. Yeah, thanks, Fab. So, man, it's good to be here. I had the pleasure of enjoying these festivities out in Munich, so to be able to bring it back to New York City, my hometown, is just awesome. And so, yeah, I built an application under the umbrella of my company, Disruptive Multimedia, and basically it's a superphone. So what that means is that every single one of you guys in the audience today, if you feel like keeping in touch with me, if you want to talk to me about anything you'd like to talk to me about, normally in a conference like this, I would say just send me a tweet, right? But we already know, like when I check my tweets, you know, unless I'm reading at the same time you tweet, I'm probably not going to see it. So I built a layer on top of my telephone on the Twilio API, which allows me to have personal conversations with literally thousands of people at scale. So if you want to test it out, I'll give you my phone number right now. It's really simple. It's +1 for those who are international. The +1 is a country code, 915-600-6978. I'm going to say it again. +1 915-600-6978. Now, what's so interesting about the technology is that my phone recognizes two different things. You need the number again? You need it again? Okay, all right, cool. It recognizes two different things. So since I'm not actually distributing my music on Apple, Amazon, or Google, I actually, for the first time in my career, am able to actually get precision data on the people who actually support my music. So my phone knows two different things. One, it knows if you've ever sent me a text before. And if you haven't, then it's going to ask you to actually fill in my address book. So we'll be exchanging contacts virtually, right? So when you send me a text, if I've never received a text from you before, my phone will say, there's a human emulated delay, so in about 5 to 10 minutes, you'll get a text back from me, even though I'm not texting with you. You'll get a text back that says, your number showed up unknown. Please add yourself to my phone book. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't personally want to ask you to do that, but when you have 565,000 Twitter followers and a lot of people text you, you don't want to actually have to be doing that one by one. So that's the power of technology, the ability to automate that. The second thing that my phone is smart enough to know is that since I'm distributing my music directly, it knows whether or not you've ever bought any albums from me. And so if you haven't bought any albums from me, once you've entered your information, we've exchanged information virtually, my phone will ask you if you're interested in supporting my latest album. And if you are, then that moves you up the totem pole to actually get a personal response from me, right? So yeah, that's the technology. And really, the methodology behind that is not really to trick my fans into thinking they're talking to me and they're actually talking to a robot. The idea is simply just to actually have, for the first time, a real valuation on what my social influence is. And so as an artist, what we've done is, because we're really, I guess, adverse to managing large sets of data, we give our audiences to third parties. So we give them the Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Vine, Snapchat, and we allow those platforms to manage our audiences, and we also allow those platforms to charge us when we want to reach our audiences. So in the case with Facebook, I have 450,000 likes on Facebook, and when I want to reach as many of them as possible, I have to pay Facebook, even though that's my audience. So for the first time, I deciphered that most of my fans, they don't want to download another app. They don't need another social network to join. But they would, and they like the novelty of actually being able to communicate with me directly via SMS. And eventually we'll build an API for other direct messaging apps. We're talking to WeChat in Asia and Africa, just because eventually WeChat will allow people to make payments. So I can say, hey, do you want my latest track? And they'll say, yeah, I do. And I say, okay, well, send me $1 on WeChat, and then I'll send them the track right there in the direct message feed. So that's kind of a quick overview. And for anybody who sent me a text, in about 2.5 minutes, you should be getting my response asking you to add yourself to my phone book.
So now tell us a little bit, Ryan, about, just briefly, obviously it was a short period of time, but I have a lot of questions. Tell me what inspired you, because I remember once at a talk or a conversation, you were explaining how when you go to iTunes and you wanted to get a sense, because previous to the record industry being gobbled up by digital, there was something called SoundScan. So if you sold records in America, you can get your SoundScan data and know where you're doing well, where you're not doing well. So then you could increase your promotion and marketing, let's say in South Central Los Angeles or in Chicago, because, you know, the record should be connecting with that crowd. But you know, that's how it used to work. But with iTunes, you can't get that specific data when you're selling. So
yeah, so what would be really interesting is, you know, literally everyone in this audience, if I said, hey, who bought my last album, you could all raise your hand because well, 2 albums ago, because I got smart, right? But 2 albums ago, if I said who in this audience has ever bought my debut album, and if everyone raised their hand, I have no way of actually logging into iTunes and verifying that you actually got my album. On one side, that's because of the actual privacy that Apple promises to its customers. But on the other side, it actually keeps me from being efficient with my marketing and promotion. Because when I really think about it, why should I actually have to pay for traditional television, radio, to convert people who've already been converted, to convert supporters that are already believers? And so when I wanted to think about this kind of on a macro level, when you think about the difference between, let's say, my friend Drew Houston and Jay-Z, the difference is he has a company called Dropbox where I think they have over 220 million users. He doesn't have 220 million Twitter followers, but when he needs to reach all of his users, for example, to tell them about a software update, he can press a button and everyone receives a direct email. Jay-Z, on the other hand, who's also my friend, he has 30 million people who've bought, or 30 million albums or records that he sold. And if he wants to reach those people, maybe 5 million of them follow him on Twitter, but when he presses a button, he doesn't actually reach directly the inboxes of everyone who's ever bought his music. And so to me, I felt like, you know, for folks who are cultural influencers, people who have so much inbound traffic, people who are managing audiences on all of these third-party platforms, it would be so much better for us and the brands with whom we interact to actually have the ability to say we have ownership of our audiences. And so the SMS protocol up to this point has proven to be the most direct means for me to access and interact with my fan base. But I needed to find a way to do it at scale. And so that's where the technology came in. So it took me about 60 days in my boxers and a lot of takeout Chinese food to learn some Ruby on Rails to be able to talk to the Twilio API. But we made it happen, and now we're here. And yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that was very cool. And, you know, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Andreessen Horowitz. And Ben Horowitz is a good friend of both of ours, and it's how I met Ryan. And Ben's a big music fan. If you guys don't know, you should know. He's particularly a big hip-hop fan, and Ben was raving to me about what you were doing, and I found that very interesting. But talk a little bit about the diversity in the tech world, which obviously you're a big proponent of and an example of, and something that we obviously all want to see more of, because diversity makes the food, makes the dish a lot more interesting.
Yeah, it's true. So I would just say this simply. I think in light of what we've been watching on the news in Baltimore or in Ferguson, or I mean, all the way back to, you know, rioting in L.A. I mean, a lot of folks, or at least my parents being immigrants, they always said, well, you know, the answer to that is education. The answer to that is to, you know, giving people the feeling that there isn't the hopelessness that they feel. It makes them want to rash out the way that they are. And, you know, I think that I had a breakfast the other day with Christina Lewis Halpern, who's the daughter of Reginald Lewis, who was the first African American to do $1 billion leveraged buyout, I think, right. And he wrote a great book about it.
Was that Beatrice Foods? I think was a company he had purchased.
Oh man, and I'll say this: she drew a parallel to Wall Street in the time when her father was doing well to technology now. And she said that she felt like there was kind of a club, if you will, of folks that were trying to, I don't know, almost protect the integrity of that new industry, or protect the integrity, almost a club. And so when I look around, I wanted to make sure that my investment round, and we raised a small convertible note, just $750,000. Ben's in, BetaWorks is in. Morecap, you know, Kajhed, the founders of Angry Birds, they're involved.
Very cool.
But then on the same side, I wanted to make sure that my investment round reflected the diversity of the young artists that I wanted to serve. And so, you know, I made a plea to, if you will, you know, my friends at Harvard, they call themselves the talented 10th, and I reached out to them and said, look, you know, I want you guys to be involved, not only because I believe that you are examples of the hope that these young people can actually look to, but also because I want my investment round to be as diverse as the constituents and the community that I want to serve.
That's perfect, and I remember vividly Reginald Lewis, before he passed away, wrote a book, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? if I'm not mistaken, and I'm sure people would agree. So that's great. So once again, so now, Superphone, tell us a little bit more about, I'm sure music people, well, getting that wrap it up signal from the amazing Steffi over here. But this has been a great, short, impactful convo. Would you not agree?
Yes, absolutely. And for the folks that sent me a text, you probably should have received a text back. Please do enter your information into my phone. It's really my iPhone, and it's really my real number, and I whitelist the people that I do want to talk to, even though my phone goes crazy. But it's really just the idea that we should be better connected, and the fact that our network, I know it's said all the time, but our network is our net worth.
Here we go. And on that note, DLD, thank you guys.
Thank you.